Hi children, today onwards we are going to start a new lesson and the second prose which is what is that? Yeah, lesson 2, the Elixir of Life, and it is written by one of the famous scientists Dr. C.V. Raman, and only in the first lesson A Wrong Man in Workers' Paradise, which was written by Rabindranath Tagore. While I was explaining about the author or about him, I told you the first Indian one who received a Nobel Prize in the year 1913, 1913, for his famous work Gitanjali. Whereas Dr. C.V. Raman too one of the recipients of Nobel Prize in the year 1930. In the year 1930. And before starting the lesson, I would like to say something about this academic year. As per the informations we got, 4 lessons have been dropped from the textbook. And you know very well, we have 23 lessons, 10 process, 10 points and 3 supplementary reading or non-detailed we can call. See, one of the lessons which belongs to the supplementary reader, the Treasure Island, which is written by R.L. Stevenson, and that lesson is dropped from this year, from the textbook this year. The Treasure Island, and apart from that, it's very sad to say we have already discussed that lesson, the Village Cricket Match, which is written by A.G. MacDonald, and the two dropped for this year. I told you just now, the first lesson, Treasure Island, and apart from that, Village Cricket Match, Mending Wall, which is written by Robert Frost, and one more poem, Sonnet, Sonnet 73, and the name of the poem is That Time of Year, which is written by William Shakespeare. These 4 lessons have been dropped this year due to the lack of time. And I feel till now that regular classes have been not started, and there may be a chance to drop a few more lessons from the textbook. Okay, anyhow, we start the second lesson today, and the name of the lesson is the Elixir of Life, which is written by C.V. Raman, and it's an essay. And see, most of the people now, they might have read, or you might have read or heard about the divine Amrita. The divine Amrita. Those who have heard the stories from your either from your grandmothers or grandfathers, you might have heard about the story which belongs to the epics. In Purana, something you call in Kerala epics. The divine Amrita, the Devas and the Asuras, they were always fighting each other to get that. If anybody happens to drink it, he or she may get the immortality. Immortality in the sense deathless, and they won't die. Actually, it is this kind of medicines we might have heard only in what we call fantasy or fiction. Imaginary elixir it is. Divine Amrita is the imaginary elixir according to C.V. Raman. Okay, whatever which is mentioned in the first paragraph, orally I said now. According to C.V. Raman, the divine Amrita, which gives us immortality, it was just a belief. According to C.V. Raman, the divine Amrita was just an imaginary elixir of life. Then what will be the real or the true elixir of life? And C.V. Raman says, plain water is the true elixir of life. And see, there are 2 questions which is mentioned in the comprehension questions. What is the real elixir of life according to C.V. Raman? In the same manner, what is the imaginary elixir of life? And many times these questions have asked. Okay, see, these questions have been asked many times. So the real elixir of life is, that is plain water, whereas the imaginary elixir of life is the divine Amrita. And just imagine all the First World War and the Second World War, it was over due to different reasons. And there is a pre-reading activity given. It is said that if the Third World War breaks out, it will be for the sake of water. And I think it may be true. Someone said, if a Third World War occurs, the reason for the war will be water, for the sake of water. Do you agree, discuss in pairs, since the regular classes are not at all possible? You just think yourself. First World War is over, and of course Second World War is over, and there are certain reasons for that. If the Third World War breaks out, what will be the reason? It will be for the sake of water. Okay, we discuss later regarding that. You think over this point. And you know very well, nowadays water is very precious. Even imagine one day, if there is no water, if water is not coming through the pipe, we may suffer like anything, because all our activities it may be impending. So without life, without water, we can't imagine about that, and that is the reason why C.V. Raman says water is the real elixir of life. Do you understand? Okay, see, come to the first paragraph. Hope all are watching this video along with the textbook. Okay, see. Man has through the age sought in vain for an imaginary elixir of life, the divine Amrita, to confer immortality. Man has through the age sought in vain for an imaginary elixir of life, the divine Amrita, to confer immortality. Actually, man was seeking for a medicine which gives immortality, and the name of the medicine was the divine Amrita. But it was in vain. The man has not succeeded in that. In vain in the sense, what is the meaning of the word in vain? It's a phrase. Not succeeded. Man has not succeeded in finding the divine Amrita which gives immortality. Okay, see. But the true elixir of life lies near to our hands, for it is the commonest of all liquids, plain water. And C.V. Raman says that though man couldn't find the divine Amrita which gives us immortality, and they were seeking for that. Only, as I told you, you might have heard or read in epics. But the real elixir of life, the true elixir of life, lies near us, and that is plain water. I told you two questions are very important based on this paragraph. Which are they? What is the imaginary elixir of life? The divine Amrita. Second question, what is the true elixir of life according to C.V. Raman? And that is, the answer is the plain water is the true or real elixir of life. Coming to the second paragraph. I remember one is standing on the line which separates the Libyan desert from the valley of the Nile in Egypt. Actually, he was standing nearby the line which separates the Libyan desert from the valley of the Nile in Egypt. Nile River, you know very well, the longest river in the world. Am I right? Okay, see. Actually, he was seeing the situation in both places, and as we go forward, you will easily understand. I remember one is standing on the line which separates the Libyan desert from the valley of the Nile in Egypt. On one side was visible a sea of billowing sand. Billowing in the sun, filled with one area, actually two areas, and this river separates, this Nile River separates both the Libyan desert and the valley. And on the one side, billowing sand, in the sense that total area is filled with the sand. In the sense that area we can call it as desert. Okay, see. On one side was visible a sea of billowing sand without a speck speck of green or a single living thing anywhere visible on it, while on the other side lay one of the greenest, most fertile and densely populated areas to be found anywhere on the earth, teeming with life and vegetation. One area is desert, whereas on the other side, river valley, and actually Nile River valley, and that area was the most fertile. Fertility and fertile, and you know the meaning of those words. Fertile, the antonym of that word is, opposite of that word is barren. And one side is barren. I am saying about the Libyan desert. Not even a single organism he found there. Whereas on the other side, total greenery, and the area was densely populated, and the soil is fertile. Okay, see. I repeat the sentence and answer. On one side was visible a sea of billowing sand without a speck of green or a single living thing anywhere visible on it, while on the other side lay one of the greenest, most fertile and densely populated areas to be found anywhere on the earth, teeming with life and vegetation. Just imagine both sides. Actually, why this area was fertile? Is fertile, you know very well. That the river flows now, and this river, this Nile, carries silt in suspension. Silt in the sense, what is the meaning of silt? Fine sand, clay or material carried by running water. And you know very well, if the water flows now, it takes the topsoil, and you know very well, and topsoil is fertile. And even this valley is the creation of the Nile River itself. He says, the author says. Hope you understand. One side was barren, whereas the other side was fertile. And this fertile land, or this valley is the creation of the river itself, says C.V. Raman. Underline the sentence, what he has seen. On one side was a visible sea of billowing sand without a speck of green or a single living thing anywhere visible on it, while on the other side lay one of the greenest, most fertile and densely populated areas to be found anywhere on earth, teeming with the life and vegetation. And this fertile land, and here this valley is highly populated, densely populated, and we can see vegetation there, life and vegetation there. As I told you, this valley is the creation of this river itself. Okay, see. What made this wonderful difference? Why it is the water of the river Nile flowing down to the Mediterranean from its sources a couple of thousands of miles away. As I told you, as the river flows, it takes out silt and it will be dropping on the river side. So one of the areas will be fertile, and whereas the opposite side, barren. Okay, see. Geologists tell us that the entire soil of the Nile Valley is the creation of the river itself. Just now I said, now geologist in the sense, a scientist who studies the solid, liquid and gaseous matter on earth. We can call them as geologists. According to the geologists, the entire soil on this side, the entire soil of the Nile Valley is the creation of the river itself. As I told you, when it flows, it takes silt. It was brought down as the finest silt in its floodwaters from the highlands of the Abyssinia and from remote Central Africa, and laid down through the ages in the trough through which the Nile flows into the sea. And you know, almost all the rivers ends at the sea. As it flows, it carries out silt. What is the meaning of the word silt? Once I said you, fine sand, clay or material carried by running water. I repeat. It was brought down as the finest silt in its floodwaters from the high lands of Abyssinia and from remote Central Africa and laid down through the ages in the trough. Trough in the sense trench, not trench, or a long narrow open is called, or trench is called trough, through which the Nile flows into the sea. Egypt in fact was made by its river. Not only this valley, in fact, according to the geologists, they say that even the Egypt is made by this river itself. Okay, see. Egypt in fact was made by its river. Its ancient civilization was created and is sustained by the life-giving waters which come down year after year with the unfailing regularity. And see, even in olden days, man was attracted by land and water, and they tended to settle down nearby the river valleys, because you know very well the soil on the river valleys, and it will be fertile, and the crops and other things will be growing in a fast manner, and that was the reason why the people in olden days they settled down nearby the valleys. And according to the geologist, even Egypt is made by this Nile River itself. As it flows, it takes silt. Okay, see, coming to the fourth paragraph. I give this example and would give many others to emphasize that this common substance which we take for granted in our everyday life is the most potent and the most wonderful thing on the face of our earth. According to C.V. Raman, he says that this common substance, in the sense water, we take for granted in our everyday life is the most potent and the most wonderful thing of face of our earth. Whatever the things available here on the earth, the most powerful, at the same time the wonderful and potent thing is water. The common thing or the common substance, he says. What is that? Water. And everybody already, you might have learned in 7th standard or in 8th standard about water. And regarding one of the lessons in 8th standard science, crop production and management. If you want to produce crops, what is necessary? Water is necessary. And according to this Karnataka, most of the places are barren, and that is the reason why the farmers go on along with the dry crops. Am I right? So water is the real elixir of life, though it's a common substance according to C.V. Raman. It has played a role of vast significance in shaping the course of the earth history and continues to play the leading role, the drama of life on the surface of our planet. And why life is here? What is the reason for life on earth? And the main reason is water. And even in some of the other planets too, the scientists have found water, and some news have come. Am I right? See, water is the most common thing what is necessary for not only humans' life, all the living beings' life. Okay, anyhow, just read this lesson, and the questions and answers based on these 4 paragraphs I will send along with this video. Okay, so reading the lesson is very important. According to me, I feel 4 marks you may get from this lesson. It may be 2 mark question, or a 4 mark question, 1 4 mark question, and one more chance, 1 mark question and 1 3 mark question. That is the most probability I feel. You may get 1 mark question and 1 3 mark question from this lesson. So reading the lesson is very important. If you come across any one of the difficult words which is not given in the glossary, there are around nearly 30 words are given in the glossary, new words, and most of the words are scientific words, and just go through these words, and if you happen to find out, if you come across any one of the difficult words which is not given in the glossary, you just ask me, I shall explain. We can stop now. Shall I wind up? Okay, thank you.